my people, my Biafran people, now how on a day? How on a day today? I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you're listening to the sound of my voice. This is the Biafra Superstars Media, and I'm holding it down. I say, may God bless Biafra, and may God bless His Excellency, Oyendo Mazenam Kano. May God bless, may God bless, may God bless His Excellency, the Prime Minister of Biafra, USB, His Excellency, ESN, Ekpa, Simon Njoku, for the job Simon is doing. Simon, I want to say we thank you. We appreciate you. We love you because we know in your hands, Biafra has come. In your hands, Biafra will be safe. And in your hands, none of Biafra has come. The people of Biafra will rejoice. When I say the people, I mean the men, the women, the children, the old, the young, the sick, the poor, the mild, the gentle, the civilized, and even the uncivilized. Those born in Biafra and those born in the bite of Biafra. We shall all come together under one voice, under one accord, under one union, and scream for Hallelujah Day, the day that the God of Biafra has made. Lord have mercy. My fellow Biafrans, my heart is heavy. I just came back from a meeting this afternoon when I saw this news about a young man called Nduibuisi, a Biafran called Nduibuisi, who was, sadly, he met his untimely demise today in the hands of the Fulani killer headsmen. But when you go deeper in the story of this man, his mother was made a widow by the same Fulani killer headsmen. All this young man did was go to the farm to assist his mother to do some harvesting in the farm. When they saw the headsmen, they came with their cows and AK-47. Suddenly, the cows of the headsmen started eating the crops, the unharvested crops of this young boy and the mother. They were helpless. All the mother could do was to plead with the Fulani killer headsmen. Those they call the headsmen. She pleaded with them to please fend off their animals. Take them somewhere else. They refused. And before you knew it, the son came to plead as well, only for him to be met with the pellets, bullets raining out from the AK-47 of those headsmen. He was killed on the spot. There was nothing the helpless mother could do than to cry as she cuddled to her dying son. Fellow Biafrans, listeners of all across the world, this has been the same story, the same theme of what has been happening in the land of Biafra. Hence, at a time like this, at a time when we are able to have support, succor, a man who stepped up and said, never again in the name of God will our people be killed. Never again will the Islamic terrorists, known as headsmen, asked to be called as headsmen by the Nigerian Zoo government. The media in Nigeria were forced, compelled to call terrorists headsmen. Hence, you are hearing about the Fulani killer headsmen. Terrorists in our land, killing the people. And the only man who was stopping them from doing this, the only man through the annals of history who has been successful in stopping them from doing this is our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ekpa. But today as we speak, our Prime Minister is in the hands of Finland. They called him for questioning and they kept him somewhere. Since the month of November and counting, we are now in the 5th month because we're now in the month of March. Fellow Biafrans, today, permit me, but I may have to do this one. I will put the death of Nduibuisi in the hands of Finland. Finland is responsible for the death of this young man you're seeing in this picture. The Finnish government is responsible. And the president of Finland is so responsible for this. President Alexander Stubb, it was on your call. It was on your watch that a black Finnish, a man who has no criminal record in your country, a man who has done no wrong in your country, A man who Nigeria, a third world country, a criminal country, an enterprise, an Islamic jihadist country, laid false accusation on our prime minister. And you of all people, you chose to skip to the loo of Nigeria. You called Simon Ekpa for questioning, and ever since you've held him incommunicado in a solitary confinement. What you did, Finland, what you did, President Alexander Stubb, was to give Nigeria the green light to come into the lands of the Biafrans and kill as much Christians as they can. And so far, every day has been the wailing of Christians, wailing of our mothers, our children, the elderly in the farms, of this terrorist, this Fulani herdsmen terrorist, Boko Haram, ISIS, ISWAP, Lakurawa, and the rest of them coming to the land of Biafra to kill us, all because of your action. The only man who was saving us, our saving grace, because we called out to the EU and the rest. We called out to ICC. We called out to the UN, even the AU. They refused to come to our aid. The only person, the only man who stood against the Caliphate of Nigeria, Simon Ekpa, His Excellency, the Prime Minister of Biafra, the only man who could withstand the influx of the Caliphate to Islamize us and to take over our land. That man is the one you are holding in your custody. So today, to people around the whole world, I want you to know that the Finland that you used to know is now a different Finland. The Finland that you assumed when it comes to the rule of law, they are number one. When it comes to the fundamental human rights, they are number one. When it comes to the so-called Equality Act of 2010 as updated, they see Finland as the champion of one of those upheld the rights of people. I want you to know that Finland is now supporting a jihadist country. They are supporting the Islamification of the Christians in Nigeria, and they are supporting the Islamization of Biafrans. As you all know, we will declare our country on the 29th of November, 2024. 2 weeks before the redeclaration, Finland, of all people, under Alexander Stubb, Finland called on our Prime Minister, who was based in Finland, a man without a crime in his name, a man without any criminal records in his name in Finland. He was called for questioning and held incommunicado. To Finland, to the people of Finland, I want to ask you, are the black Finnish in Finland free? Are the minorities in Finland have the same rights as those with blue eyes, pale skin, and blonde hair in Finland? Today is the litmus test, because I put it to you that you are all responsible for the killing of Christians in the land of Biafra. This madness must stop. This young man you see here was in the university, trying to better his life in search of happiness, only to meet his untimely demise in the hands of the Caliphate. Those that have vowed to Islamize the Biafrans. As you all know that in Biafra land, 98% of us are Christians, and the other 2% are those who are either Christians or practicing their traditional way of life. Hence, I am calling on the world. Hence, I am calling on the President of America to hurry to the aid of the Biafrans, because enough is enough. All our Prime Minister did was to stop the killing of the people of Biafra. And Finland deemed it fit to go into a partnership with Nigeria, a criminal country, a third world country. You went into partnership with them. You colluded with Nigeria, Finland, and somehow a black Finnish living his peaceful life in Finland was held incommunicado with a trumped-up charge of terrorism and the rest placed upon him. Fellow Biafrans, I want you to know that this same Finland are the ones advocating for Ukraine to be independent of Russia. They are advocating for the support of Ukraine to be able to guard and protect themselves and govern their own territory. But somehow, if the president of Finland deems it fit for him to speak for the people of Ukraine, how come our own Prime Minister, His Excellency, Prime Minister Simon Ekpa, a man who was elected by the people to govern us, a man who has been an advocate for the people, a man who is based in Finland, and all he did was to address the people of Biafra. And every action he has taken, I will prove today that he made sure that the people of Finland, the government of Finland, the who is who in Finland were made aware. But somehow, the same man called Ath Of Nduibuisi, who is advocating for Ukraine, is the same man who is trying to shut down the freedom of we the Biafrans. So once again, I will take my time to play the videos for you to see that every action, every move made by our Prime Minister, he made sure that the government of Finland were made aware. You will watch this video of our Prime Minister addressing the government of Finland, presenting them a blueprint and all the itineraries that have been planned for the restoration of Biafra. And after that, you will see a video of the Finnish president, Ath Of Nduibuisi, speaking on behalf of Ukraine, likening Ukraine with a war they went through in Finland, what they call the winter wars and the rest. And then I want you to be the judge. How come a man who followed all due process, a man in the name of Simon Ekpa who followed all due process in a bid to liberate his own people, to liberate his own country, Biafra, how come he's being kept somewhere incommunicado? But the president of Finland, who is openly supporting Ukraine, a different country, feels he's got the right to do that, feels that the Ukrainian has a right to free themselves, liberate themselves from Russia, but somehow we the Biafrans have no right to liberate our own selves. This has been the plight of the black man everywhere we go as black people. They pretend they love us, they pretend they respect the rule of law, but when it comes to the case of a black man, things start to turn around. Suddenly, black turns to blue and red turns to white. They spin things around and they somehow blame us for their actions and inactions. Fellow Biafrans, before I continue, I want you to please watch our Prime Minister one more time, how he took his time. He was professional. The way he conducted himself in Finland, he made sure that the police, the government, the policymakers in Finland, they knew exactly what he was doing. They were aware about it. Watch this video and watch the second video of the Finnish president speaking highly, advocating for Ukraine, and you be the judge. Afterwards, I'll come back and give my final analysis. Watch this.
Entinen puhdistus ja kristittyjen vainot Nigeriassa. Sen hallituksen toimesta sekä pyyntö muuta vaikuttaa Biafran itsenäisyysprosessiin Nigeriassa. Kiitos.
For 3 years, Ukraine and the Ukrainian people have fought against Russia's war of aggression, defending the freedom of all of us.
Ukraine deserves our unwavering support and a just, lasting peace based on the core principles of international law and UN Charter.
There must be no negotiations on Ukraine without Ukraine, and no negotiations on Europe without Europe. Be assured, Finland does its best to assist Ukraine on its path towards peace and EU and NATO memberships.
We will continue to support Ukraine with as much defense material as possible, and we encourage others to do the same. So far, Finland has provided Ukraine with defense material worth 2.5 billion euros.
Ukraine remains our biggest development cooperation partner and the largest recipient of humanitarian aid. Also, the whole country, the government and the business sector alike are eager to help Ukraine with reconstruction.
Ukraine needs our help. Russia systematically attacks civilian targets. Finland continues to provide extensive civilian material assistance to strengthen the resilience of Ukraine.
Vladimir, given that I'm sitting here next to you, this is more of a personal address than anything else. You see, I think we in Finland understand exactly what you're going through. We have 1,340 kilometers of border with Russia. In November 1939, Russia attacked us, completely unprovoked. We fought 2 existential wars against Russia. The first one was the Winter War. It lasted only 105 days, and we were able to hold the line. The second one was the War of Continuation, which lasted pretty much 1,100 days. And that's what you've been going through right now. And essentially, for me, this war is about the existence of nationhood in Ukraine. And that nationhood is based on a triangle. And that triangle is something that we thought would be respected ever since the end of World War II. And that is independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. Now, in World War II, Finland had to accept a peace with Stalin. And I'm sure we're going to have to accept a peace with Putin. But the peace that we accepted had only one out of the 3 statehood principles in it: independence. We were the only country bordering the Soviet Union that was able to retain our true independence. But we lost our sovereignty. You know, we couldn't decide the clubs we wanted to join. We were able to join the EU only when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1995. And we lost 10% of our territory, including the areas where my grandparents were born and where my father was born. Now, the only reason I'm saying this is that the support that you will see from the Finnish public, and I think from all around this table, is the support of identity and historical experience. Now, my big point is that there seems to be some misunderstanding about what is going on here. Russia obviously started this war, but remember that it started this acquisition of territory and spheres of interest already in 2008 by attacking Georgia, and then in 2014 by annexing the Crimean Peninsula. And then at the end of the day, we are now here to commemorate the 3rd anniversary of the beginning of the full-scale war, but the war has been going on for pretty much 11 years, ever since 2014. And a lot of people don't understand that this is not only about Ukraine, but this is also about Europe. This is also about the United States. This is also about international law. And at the end of the day, it's about the world order. So if we now allow Russia to do what it wants to do, in other words, stop the existence of a Ukrainian state, then it's not only Ukraine that has lost, it's Europe that's lost, it's the West that has lost, and also the United States that has lost. And for those who doubt about this, let me say one thing very clearly: you cannot trust Putin. You cannot make a deal with Putin, because that means basically a deal also with China. I also say that for those who doubt, the only way in which Ukraine is going to fully win this war is that we continue the support that we have given you from the beginning. And I also say that if Russia gets what it wants now, trust me, it's not going to stop with Ukraine. We know that Putin will continue, because his mind is one of imperialism and spheres of interest. So self-evidently, Finland will continue to support Ukraine for as long as it takes. We're the 5th biggest donor, GDP per capita. Let me finish off, however, by saying that I think in the past 2 weeks, we've been sort of a little bit lost. A new American administration has come in, and we have heard conflicting messages. I believe that we need to take the initiative back. And by that I mean to say that there needs to be something concrete on the proposal, on the table. So let me propose today something that I've spoken with you about and with many around the table. It's not a peace plan, but it's a sketch of a process. And that process, in my mind, goes very simply in 3 phases. The first phase is before the actual ceasefire. This is the phase when we put maximum pressure on Russia, including sanctions, including using the frozen assets, and of course, including continuing the military support for Ukraine. This is also the time when I think European leaders need seriously talk about security arrangements. And of course, the lead comes from Ukraine. You have the biggest land force and most experienced land force in Europe. But there needs to be support from Europe, and the backstop needs to come from the United States. All of this needs to be settled before a ceasefire is brokered, whether that's Easter or whenever, we don't know. The second phase is the ceasefire phase. And the ceasefire basically means that there's a contact line, probably monitoring thereof, but it also means that 2 things are put into place. First is a negotiation on the actual agenda and modalities of the peace process, because there is no peace process, there is no agenda, there are no modalities. And the second one is, of course, confidence-building measures, which were mentioned here a little bit earlier, exchange of prisoners, returning the kidnapped children, etc., etc. This is the second phase. Then only begins the third phase, and we're far, far, far from it. And that is the actual peace process. That's when there is conversation about territory, that's when there is conversation about reconstruction, and that's when there is conversation about unraveling the sanctions. Having said all of that, very conditional by the way, having said all of that, I think we need to make clear to the Russians and everyone else that there are a few things that are completely off the table in these negotiations. One is EU membership. It is not Russia who decides on EU membership. It is the European Union who does that. 2 is NATO. It is not Russia that decides on NATO membership. It is the alliance itself. 3 is Ukrainian defense. It is not Russia that decides on what Ukraine has by its border, when, where, and how. And 4, European security arrangements or order. It's not Russia that decides on that. We already have a European security order and should stick to it. So those are off the table. And let me just finish off, because I do think this is such an important day, and I was watching all the colleagues on Maidan Square and the rest of it. But I do think this is a day when we have to honor the fallen Ukrainian heroes. I also believe that this is a day where we have to face the fact that Putin has lost this war, in a sense that we will see a European Ukraine, we will see eventually Ukraine in NATO, we've seen a unified European Union, and hopefully a stronger transatlantic alliance in the long run. And on a day like this, I think it's time to pave the way for a plan for Ukrainian victory. Slava Ukraini.
So my fellow Biafrans, now that you've heard this, you've heard him speak highly, advocating for Ukraine to the whole world, in the EU and the rest of them. I want you to be the judge. If a man feels it is okay for him to speak on behalf of another country, for the liberation of another country, then how come is it a crime for a black man to speak for the liberation of his people in Africa? Sometimes questions like this, they bother me. This will only happen to a black man. And I wonder what's really going on. That Simon Ekpa, a man in Finland, a black Finnish who has no criminal record, His records are clean in Finland. And there was this so-called accusations, allegation from the government of Nigeria against Simon Ekpa. They brought these allegations to you, and somehow you deemed it fit to hold him incommunicado from the month of November. Lord have mercy. And according to you, your timeline of having all the so-called final documentations from Nigeria to prove their case was on the 26th of May, 2025. So we are looking at the 18th of November, December, January, February, March, April, May, the 26th of May. You are looking at close to 7 months and counting. You are holding somebody for 7 months. You are holding a citizen of Finland for 7 months. Because a third world country, a shithole country like Nigeria, came with a false accusation about your citizen who is based in Finland, who has not left the shores of Finland, and the so-called accusations against him were crimes committed in Africa. But this man is still based in Finland, in the land of the Scandinavian, and somehow you felt it was okay to hold him for 7 months incommunicado. Finland, we understand that your government, what they are after is gas and oil, and to do kind of business, a TOT, terms of trade and business and the rest. We understand what you're after. But I want Finland to understand that the God we serve is a just God. We the Biafrans, we believe in the God we serve. And for the fact that the oil, the gas comes from the land of Biafra land, we assure you what you are doing has spelled doom for any kind of international business between the Biafrans and Finland going forward. Not a drop of the oil from Biafra land will be given to Finland, because what you have done to us is unbelievable. That a man who loved you so much, he made sure everything was anchored according to the laws of Finland. The blueprint was designed with the government of Finland. He told us that Biafra will be a shining example, and he was happy, proud to tell us how he was going to copy views, policies from the so-called Finland. Only for Nigeria to come with a carrot and stick approach. They promised you gas. They told you, yes, you're having an issue with Russia. They know in Russia is where you get your gas. Hence, they came with the trade-off. We sell to you gas and oil. All we need is the head of Simon Ekpa. All we need is the leader of Biafra to be held somewhere. Keep him somewhere. We know he has done he has no case to answer. We know he has done no crime. But keep him somewhere, because we believe somehow those around him will scatter. Those around him, they will be cajoled by the Nigerian government. They will be bribed, seduced, and kind of sell off their own people, as we are seeing happening now. But I want the whole world to know that we, the people of Biafra, we will not back down. We will never back down from what is right. We've declared our country on the 29th of November, and we shall continue to defend our nation Biafra. To the whole world, this is our story. This is our plight. This has been the journey of the Biafrans ever since we declared our freedom. Finland, of all people, a country like Finland that has nothing going for them than their name and reputation. They've allowed a third world country like Nigeria to tarnish the reputation, the good name of Finland. We the Biafrans, we are putting the whole world on notice. We are letting them know what is happening to us in our land. People are being killed. The Christians are being killed. The Muslims are killing the Christians. The jihadists are killing the Christians in the land of Biafra. Because the plan of Nigeria is to Islamize Nigeria. They were promised by Britain when 2 years ago, the then Foreign Affairs Minister, I believe, Lord David Cameron, he mentioned, and I quote, he said, he has discussed with all the Islamic countries when it comes to the issue between Israel and Palestine. And among the Islamic countries, he mentioned Nigeria as one of the signatories of the Islamic so-called countries of the world. It means on paper, Nigeria is officially an Islamic country. But we the Biafrans are saying, never in our watch. We are Christians. We believe in God. We believe in Jesus. We believe that God has come to save our soul. We believe we are going to heaven to meet Jesus and the Father God. We are children of the Most High God. We don't believe in the so-called moon God, the one they call Allah. We don't believe in that one. We believe in the Almighty God, the one they call El Shaddai, Elohim, El, the God of El. From El, the world's called Israel. That's who we are. That's what we believe in. That's the God we believe in. Not the moon God called Allah. So we are saying, never in our watch will the land of Biafra be Islamized. We shall keep on fighting this fight. Whether the world wants to support us or not, we shall not back down. No Biafran will back down from this freedom. Thank you all. Thank you for listening. God bless you all, and God bless Biafra. Thank you.
Biafra must be restored, for there is nothing the enemies can do about it. You brought Biafra that light may come into Africa. You gave us hope because we are in a continent of hopelessness. And by thy grace, Biafra shall be restored. We shall be resurrected. We shall crown our efforts with the glory by the grace of the Most High Himself. We are not strong. We do not pretend to be strong. All we do is to submit ourselves to your will, that your will may be done upon our lives. We have lost many people. We have lost so many good people. Their sacrifice will never be forgotten. We shall honor them, and for their sake, Biafra will come. Because we are wandering all over the world, hoping against every hope that things will turn around for the better. It has never turned around for the better. Instead, it is getting worse. Please do not abandon your children. You have given us a commission, and we must accomplish it in our lifetime. Our enemies are equally important because they must listen. Those who do not love the truth must listen. Those who are beholden to darkness, they must also listen. For we are here to bring light upon a very darkened continent without Biafra. Africa is nothing without Biafra. There is no difference between a black man and a wild animal in the forest. We say every ounce of conviction. I welcome each and every one of you. If you're joining us for the very first time, this is Radio Biafra. This is how we do it. We magnify the name of the Most High before we do anything. That is why we are exceptionally formidable. That is why